Away, everyone! Away!
In his house in Rillier, Dead Cthulhu waits streaming.
You ever played D&D before?
No.
What kind of character do you play?
I play a cultist.
But you are a cultist.
I'm growing gills. Gills! My transformation into a deep one has finally begun. Father Dagon be praised.
Rob, we don't see any gills.
The coffee-drinking cultists who meet under the pavilion. I can bring them to you.
Did you not bring them to me within 3 days? Then you're back on the menu. Got it?
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
It's the cultists of the Yellow King. We're being infiltrated. It's like Twilight, but with a fish.
Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to have you here for another day of morning grind. I hope that the stream is going well, because I see that once again here in the morning, the internet where I am, it might be a little bit weak. If it is, we'll just have to keep going, because I've got everything set up like it's supposed to be set up. But I'm very glad to have you here. I hope you have your drink, your coffee. I'm drinking from Fish Do Not Drink Tea today. Hope you have your coffee, your drink, whatever it is that you would like to have, whether that is tea, whether that is, who knows, could be a beer depending on your time zone, or a shot of bourbon. That's great. Today, we are going to be taking a look at Mork Borg. That is an RPG I have been wanting to take a look at for quite a while, because I've got friends who actually developed for Mork Borg and have done games for it. And so we want to look at their games as well, but I want to take a look at Mork Borg, the system, first. So let's all take a sip and breathe. Because this is the morning grind, and it's going to improve your life. Not only are we going to be talking about topics in the Geekverse, but we're specifically Mork Borg today, but we're talking about how to actually improve your life and have a better day. We'll talk about that at the end of the stream. So, all right, that is what is going on. That's what we're going to be doing today. Let's go ahead and go to the morning messages and play those. Kill. There are only 10 episodes in the second season. This is already episode number 6. It'll premiere here at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Everybody can hang out in the chats. I'll be here. The director will be here as well. So we'll all be able to watch the show. If you don't know the show The Cultists already, it's our comedy web show about modern-day Lovecraftian cultists who are just trying to worship Cthulhu in a world full of people who don't understand. It's kind of a mockumentary style show, and I would love to have you for the premiere of that episode at 7:30. And then immediately after that, we will switch over to the live after party. I'm the creator, the co-writer, and the producer of the show, but I will be live with Brianna De Silva. She is the co-writer and the director of the show, so we'll be talking about some behind the scenes things about the show, having a good time talking about related things, and we'll have a tabletop related giveaway. I like to do one of those every Friday. This Friday, I'm going to be giving away a dice tray. I'm not sure what art there's going to be, but here's an example. They are handmade dice trays. We made these down in my workshop. This is one that I made with different people who have been part of the Raven Key production effort. So I still have some left, and one of those will be given away on the live stream. So be there, enjoy, hang out with everybody, and also potentially win a dice tray. If you don't know the Cultists and you want to get caught up, if you come over to my YouTube channel, the best way to do that is to go to one of the playlists. I try to organize everything on the YouTube channel by a playlist, and if you just scroll down, here is the Season 2 playlist. You can click Play All and go all the way through the playlist, or right below it, there is a Season 1 right there. So you can click there and go all the way through Season 1 as well, and that'll get you caught up on all of the last, every episode's like 5 to 7 minutes long. There are 10 episodes in the first season, 10 episodes in the second season. So if you watch those and you enjoyed them, please do like the videos and leave a comment. I read them all. So coming up soon, however, is Ritual. This is the Cthulhu cultist party game of spell casting and betrayal. This is the game that we designed to go along with the cultists. We'd really like to be able to do season 3 of the cultists. The scripts of that has already been written, and so what we did is we created a board game, a social deduction party game to go along with the cultists, and we called it Ritual. You can see here we've even got miniatures of all of the different cultists on here. So if you go over here to Game Found, you can see more information about what the game is. You can even follow it right here and get updates. Updates before the campaign even goes live. That's a nice thing about GameFound, and then we'll be launching soon. I don't have a date yet, but we'll be launching soon. You can come here, you can check out the trailer for the game, look at the miniatures. If you click that follow button, then you will get a Rob, High Priest of Dagon in combat pose miniature if you then later come and back the game. So if you'd like to join the play test, you can see how to play right here. This is our basics on how to play. But if you would like to join the play tests and get access to a special advanced copy of the rules. Also, I'll send out a Discord server invite to all of the playtesters and so forth. You can click that link. You'll just go to a playtest request form, and you can get in there. I've had over 700 people already sign up, so I would love to have you as part of that as well. Also, Terra Tiles are in pre-order right now. I am reprinting Terra Tiles. This is my tabletop terrain system that I designed with my brother several years ago. It's been out of print. I'm bringing it back into print. Terra Tiles are large, thick, and durable hexagons that are designed to put out on your gaming table to lay out battlefields fast, whether you're trying to do war games or skirmish games or RPGs. Great for different games, especially that use zones for determining movement. Check those out. There are a whole bunch of different videos on Terra Tiles on this channel. I also used Terra Tiles to create a fully three-dimensional, hexagonal, modular terrain system for my gaming room. I always wanted a terrain system that fit together really well for the table, for the large-size miniatures like we use for skirmish games or RPGs or even war games like Warhammer or something like that. So I was able to use Terra Tiles to create a table for that in about a day's worth of work. I mean, it wasn't all that much effort if you wanted to go the extra step and try to get some 3 dimensions in there. I put up a whole video on YouTube, a whole video series actually, about how to do exactly that. So if you want a box of Terra Tiles, they're going to be very limited in number, and if you want one of the boxes to have your name on it, you need to do a pre-order through Ravenkeep.net. All right, that's what's going on right now. Let's get to the main topic. All right, so let's do another sip and breathe. Breathe with me. As I said, this is not only geekdom, but it's also improving your life. So it may sound silly, but if you breathe, your life will be better. Sip and breathe. It helps me out because I'll get like caught up and wound up here on the live stream. And if I breathe, everything starts to go more smoothly. So call out for that if you see that happening. Access Your Inner Light asks, is the cardboard for Terra Tiles much different from the first production? It's going to be exactly the same. It's going to be exactly the same. The finish on the Terra Tiles is the same, and the thickness of the cardboard is the same. I'm making sure of that. Because I want them to be compatible and things like that. People have been concerned about that. All right, so we are experimenting with a couple of things here. I've been experimenting with the afternoon adventure. I've been primarily putting stuff out about that on Instagram and Twitter. So if you want to follow Instagram and Twitter, I've been trying to hike, go for a little bit of an adventure, might be like cooking outside by the fire or something like that. So what we're trying to do here is have 3 different markers for the day. We're doing the morning grind in the morning, then in the afternoon, in deliberate recreation. We'll talk more about that later, but go on some type of adventure, do at least some of the things that our D&D characters can do, right? And then in the evening, I've been experimenting with a very highly experimental evening grind. But we might change that to the wind down or something like that. We'll be back live to evaluate the day and try to see if how we can make tomorrow better and celebrate the day's successes. So if you want to be part of the afternoon adventure, that's probably where I'm posting things. All right, let's get over to the main topic, which is Mork Borg. So let me bring that up. So, and let me get my windows set up so that I can talk about it. Like I said, this is a game that I didn't really know. I was not aware of. I didn't know much about it at all until some friends of mine started playing it, and they had just fantastic things to say about it. A friend of mine was like, "This is the first time, I've really felt like I've gotten back to D&D, or I forget exactly what the phraseology was, but they were liking it so much more than D&D. They said they just really enjoyed sitting down to play it, and then they started to develop for it, actually. The Vast Grim game. Oh, they're sitting over there, so I can't go and get them right now. But my friend Brian Colin, who I interviewed on the channel, you can see his interview. He's a great guy. He's an artist. He's a sculptor. And then he created an RPG for this. So I backed that Kickstarter, and I've got those books over there to look at. But first, I wanted to go through Mork Borg here and see what it was about. Now, we've been evaluating different RPG systems on the streams in the mornings. But rather than try to just dive into the entire system, what I thought would be best to do is come up with some structure for that. And so we're specifically looking at kind of how to play the game. Like, can we find out how to play this game? What makes its core gameplay mechanic different from other games? And basically a look at the action resolution system, because we've been developing one here. We were developing a RPG, among other things, here on the stream as well. I'm not quite ready to share stuff yet, but I've been writing the action resolution system first, because a lot of people want to start with character creation, but I think we should start with action resolution system. I see we got some Facebook likes, so yes, thank you very much. If you're here on Facebook, I'm very glad you are here. We are going out on Facebook, YouTube. I started a Twitch channel. I saw somebody followed me on Twitch. So at least one person saw it on Twitch. And also trying out the Twitter live. So trying to be all over the place. Might as well while we're sitting here in the morning. All right. So Mork Borg. Let's see what we actually can see in here. And hopefully we've got a... I like quick start kinds of things. Like, what exactly is going on here? So first of all, we start with occult treasures. It's got a really unique art style. And actually, Brian was talking about the advantage of the really unique art style, because we talked about how he was doing multimedia sculptures and graphics for the Vast Grim stuff that he was developing for this. And that was really neat. Oh, Positive Fandom is here. Good morning. Good morning. If this is RM, and she is definitely an ally in the idea of being constructive as part of geekdom, because there's so much endless negativity, it seems. We're very constructive here. The goal is to be constructive. I'm kind of taking things in the tabletop and fantasy route, but she is all about the media, TV reviews, movie reviews, in constructive ways. So that's always good. Access Your Inner Light says, I love the art in Mork Borg. It's very evocative. Yeah, it is. You can tell that already. So we start off with some tables here, and I'm not going to try to dive into them in the beginning. Corpse plundering. Let's see, can we get... okay, so this is front papers. So that is... Okay, so let's skip past that. We are now on to the title page. I really need to come up with a way to do art for the worlds that we're developing here, because the art is always a major concern when you're trying to write or publish your own RPG. You know, been working with David LaRocca, and I wrote the Journey to the Tree of Sorrows RPG, which is the Cthulhu mythos, but it hasn't been published yet. David is a fantastic artist, but to do his style of art takes so long. It takes a long time to do, and so it takes a long time to produce the products. So coming up with an art style that can actually get material out for the worlds is going to be very important. So the dying world, can we get some type of okay, so this is kind of what it is, I suppose. What do we see here? The wind from the west, from the sundered land, rot rides it and the stench of blood. Cursed walker, will you travel there? Go to the valley of the unfortunate undead. Our young ones are taken by the child thief Turgal, known for his vile crimes and alchemy of flesh. Inner Light, have you played Mork Borg? I'm wondering if we have anybody who's actually played this game in here. So if you have like ideas about what to actually go and hone in on, about what makes this game different and how to play, please post it and we will go and check it out, especially if I'm missing something or if I miss something important. So distances shift, paths between places warp, as if this pale, lightless world possessed a will and bitter life, its mercy cuddled to wrath over too long age. Who are you? The grave robber with silver glittering between the cracked fingernails, the mystic who would bend the world's miserable heart away from its invisible end. Most likely, it makes little difference. No one has seen the sun in years. The old care more for sacrifice and god offerings than their balding spawn. Doomsayers are proved right time and time again and embraced by hidden powers. Maybe it's best to surrender, to trust to your own instinct and skill rather than the whim of the dice, before all is drowned in welcome and silence. Life locked and failing in a dark fort. You know, I think this may be the first one that we've been examining here on Morning Grind that has a setting. Is that true? Because, you know, we've been looking at a lot of rule systems that, you know, you bring your own setting or you create your own setting. But this one obviously has built-in theme and setting going for it. And so it opens with a lot of this. So we've got setting information. Geography. So, okay, so here's the geography of the world. So that's how it opens. I'm missing the main hook that tells me exactly what the Mork... I think it's some kind of like post-apocalyptic world. Does it say it on the back? Is there a back one right here? This is a doom metal album of a game. A spiked flail to the face. Rules light. Heavy everything else. All right. So it says, one day all will be blackened and burned. Just as the two-headed basilisks have predicted, the world is dying. Time is short. How will you face these last days? Robbing graves for soiled, stained wealth, or facing down the apocalypse, hoping it can be fought? Okay, so that does give us an idea about what the world is like and what it's trying to do here. Oh, it says not really suitable for those under 16 of age. All right, I didn't know that. So there's your warning. Let's get into the game. So here is the game. In this world, there are those who seek riches or redemption. Some say the apocalypse is escapable, that it might even be stopped. And there you walk in discord and despair. On one hand holds 2d6 times 10 silver. The other holds a water skin and 4 days of rations or worth of food. Your soul and your silver are your own and equally easy to lose. To begin with, you are what you own. Well, that's an interesting way to actually start the game part of this. Oh, so Inner Light says, I haven't. I find the text a little bit difficult to read. We might have already encountered a little bit of that. So if you have played, let us know. But I do like that start. If that were the start of the game, the first thing we read, like that would be cool. So let the good times roll. So is this how we start? So everybody rolls 2d6, gets their silver, a water skin, 1d, 4 days of food. Do we roll again here? D6. What you've got? 1d2, 1 to 2, nothing. A backpack, a sack, a small wagon, a donkey. D12, rope, torches, lantern, magnesium strip, unclean scroll, sharp needle, medicine chest, metal file and lockpick, silver crucifix, and D12. So you roll a D6, D12, and another D12 in order to figure out what you've got when you start this game. Life elixir, random sacred scroll, small but vicious dog. I encounter some of those when I've been hiking. D4 monkeys that ignore but love you. Okay, exquisite perfume, toolbox, heavy chain, grappling hook, shield, crowbar, lard, and tent. Scrolls are the twisted magic of Mork Borg. Roll more, read more on page 34. Oh, okay, so here, okay, create a player character PC. Okay, so here we go. Randomize your starting equipment on this page. Okay, so that is what that's for. Randomize weapon and armor. Roll your abilities, roll your hit points, name your character if you wish. It will not save you. Okay. Hey, you know, we're big here. I'm big here in the direction of the gaming that I want to go in quick character creation. So if this is supposed to be like an intense one-shot game, and we could sit down and we could generate a character like that, and we could be playing in 15 minutes, and then have some kind of really cool adventure and something really dark and twisted might happen to you, hey, I would be for that. So sounds pretty cool too. So if we're going through player character creation first, that's a pretty good list right there that tells you what to do. Optional rules. Start by choosing or randomizing a class, page 46 and on, and follow the class's instruction on rolling for equipment, weapons, and armor. Roll on the tables on pages 39 and 43. Roll a number of omens on page 38. Let's see. Does this tell me we got creatures? Outcasts? You know, I was trying to hone in on our gameplay mechanic, but I guess let's just keep going. The character creation does kind of seem fun. So we were just saying, I mean, look at this. Like, I can understand why this is popular and getting a lot of attention just because this whole game book is organized like not something I've ever seen before, and the art is really cool. Okay, create a player character. So here's our weapon, D10. D6 if you begin with a scroll. Femur. Oh. Okay, so here is our weapon list. This is crazy. This is crazy. Fun, but crazy. Maybe it is something that we could do something intense. Did I see a test section? Oh, well, it could be. Let's see. Tests. Okay, so let's just see what we are actually doing here. So we do have abilities: agility, presence, strength, and toughness. Thank you, Inner Light. Good call. So roll 3d6 and use the table on the right to generate each ability score from -3 to +3. This is still a bit more character creation, but I think we're getting into how to do the tests. The sum is not used in the game once the character is created, only the table value. So so in this one, we generate that value, but then we immediately throw it away in favor of the modifier. At least we throw away the ability score. I've been talking about in other videos that maybe it's time to just get rid of ability scores because all you need is the modifier in games like this. So the sum is not used in the game once the character is created, only the table value. Player characters not created with the optional classes can roll 4d6 and drop the lowest die for 2 of their abilities. When the character is later improved, an ability can never exceed +6 or -3. So tests. Tests are made against a difficulty rating. To succeed, roll D20. Okay, so we're in a D20 kind of system here. D20 plus your ability with a result equal to or greater than the DR, which is the difficulty rating. Okay, so simple. Very classic kinds of stuff here. We're importing the D20. Lots of people like that. It's got lots of advantages that also has disadvantages that we have talked about on the in previous videos. Creatures don't use abilities. They just roll a D20 against DR. For example, find bear trap DR 14 or resist red poison DR 12. Okay, so our difficulty ratings are over here: 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Difficulty ratings. So simple, people laugh at you for failing. Routine, but some chance of failure. 10. Pretty simple, but not simple enough to not roll. 12 normal, 14 difficult, 16 really hard, should be impossible. Okay. It says it's rules light. So so maybe that is the whole thing on how to play right there. So we're making tests, we got difficulties. I mean, it's assuming that you know a lot of stuff, which I also think is fine. I mean, it's hardly like a lot of people in the tabletop gaming and geekverse in general are not familiar with role-playing games and how to operate in general. So that's okay. So that might be it on the actual game function. So that's good. Good to know. That's how we play. So let's go and look at some of this weird character creation then while we're actually here in the game. So 1d10. So you get a femur as a weapon. And I was wondering what this was. I mean, it looks cool, but it is actually your table. So if you're rolling 1d10, yeah, 1 the femur, 2 is staff, 3 is short sword, knife, and you see everything else around here. Again, a completely crazy way to do this. I understand what it's talking about. D8 flail or flail. Crossbow. Cool way to do equipment for just trying to get into it. Armor, D4. Only D2 if you begin with the scroll. The scrolls must be really important. It did say go visit them someplace else, right? What are you thinking about this? Would you try this? No armor, light, medium, heavy armor, or shield. I'm getting the vibe that if I played in a one-shot that's like an hour and a half to 2 hours, or maybe 2.5 hours, the vibe I'm getting here is if the character doesn't die or go insane, something must be wrong. Equipment. So other equipment right here. So the S, that stood for silver, right? So we do have, for being light on other things, we do have a lot of the equipment table with certain amounts of silver and stuff like that. But that was important. It said you've got your weapons, you've got your silver, and your silver and your soul are can be lost. All right, so we looked at that. We do have carrying capacity. So you can carry strength +8 normal-sized items without a problem. After that, when testing strength and agility, DR increases by 2 from 12 to 14, etc. It is impossible to carry more than twice strength +8. So a very lightweight kind of inventory system. We want to study inventory and encumbrance systems later. But so this is a lightweight way to go. You carry strength +8. I'm guessing that's your strength modifier? Or is that your strength sum that you were supposed to discard? So, for example, crowbars, large scrolls, torches, but not anvils, chests, ladders, and corpses. So this is normal-sized items without a problem. Inner Light says, I wish it were presented a bit more clearly. The chaotic artwork is fun, but I'm not sure I like the chaotic layout. I think that's a fair criticism. We do have a very it's a chaotic layout to try to get through. Yeah. Modifier. Okay, so it is the modifier. So if you have really low, it could be none of them. I guess that makes sense. If you have really low strength, for instance, you can. Oh well, it's strength +8. So even if you are really weak, really weak, you get to carry 5 items, normal size items. That makes sense. Hit points begin with toughness +D8. In worst case, 1 HP, but never less. Hit points hit 0, you are broken. Negative hit points, you are dead. Okay. Violence, initiative, roll D6. 1 to 3, enemy goes first. 4 to 6, PCs go first. Agility +D6 for individual initiative or to determine who goes first within the group. Players roll for both their attacks and defenses. Creatures and enemies don't roll dice in combat. Creatures and enemies don't roll dice in combat. Interesting. Players roll for both their attacks and defenses. So this is player rolling all of the dice, at least in combat, which is something I've thought about until I was reading some people saying, hey, I'm the game master, but I'm still playing. So I like to roll dice too. So that kind of made me rethink the players roll all dice. Although I think there is a lot of interesting game design stuff that you can do with players roll all the dice. But from the game perspective and fun, we might want to look at something else. I don't know if this question would be too stupid, but what does the S on the equipment page stand for? Not stupid at all. That stood for silver. It looks like they're using S for silver instead of SP, silver pieces. You know, in Dungeons and Dragons would be used to seeing SP, but we've got S here. And the only reason I knew that is because when I was looking at creating a player character, it told me 2d6 times 10 silver, and it had that S next to it. So that's what clued me in that when I was over here on equipment, that 8S must be 8 silver. Rhino says, made it in before the end. Better late than never. Well, it is better late than never. We should have a sip. Welcome. Yes, better late than never. I'm glad you're here. Sip. And breathe, everyone. Welcome, Rhino. Access your inner light, cost in silver pieces. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's it. So players roll for their attacks and defenses. That's where we were. So we say melee test strength DR 12. Melee test strength. And so DR, I'm thinking immediately from GURPS damage resistance, but that was difficulty rating. So to make a melee attack, you are trying to make a strength test at DR 12. Okay. A ranged is a presence attack at DR 12. A defense is an agility at DR 12. If you fail, the enemy hits you. Enemies attack once per round unless noted otherwise. Now over here, I got some stuff over here too. The DR for attacks and defense are modified as with any test. Okay. So what does broken mean? Fall unconscious for 1d4 rounds, awaken with d4 HP. Oh, so you're out even at 0. And broken meant you were at 0 hit points. I remember that. So roll d6, 1 to 5, broken or severed limb, 6 lost eye, can't act for d4 rounds, and then become active with d4 hit points. Like I said, I got the feeling that if you're playing a one-shot here, you won't be losing limbs and things like this. 3, hemorrhage, death in D2 hours unless treated. All tests are DR 16 the first hour, DR 18 the last hour. 4, dead. A critical, we got critical damage here. Attack, double damage. Armor protection is also reduced 1 tier. D6, D4, D2. Third, second, and first tier. Double damage. Armor protection is also reduced 1 tier. Okay. Defense. Oh, did we have some stuff about armor? What is that? What did that mean? Armor. So, okay, so this is the tier rating. Tier 2 armor, tier 3 armor. So, reduce the protection by 1 tier. So I guess that's the protection of a tier's worth of armor, I'm guessing. Fumble on a natural 1. It does kind of seem natural that there would be fumbles in this game the way this is going. So attack, the weapon breaks or is lost. Whoa, that's pretty brutal, because that's a 1 in 20 chance. You're rolling a d20 and you roll a natural 1. That is pretty brutal. That's part of the randomization of the d20. So the fumble is a natural 1. Attack, defense, the PC takes double damage and armor is reduced 1 tier. When armor damaged, penalties to strength and agility. When armor is damaged, penalties to strength and agility tests are not modified. Armor reduced below first tier is ruined and cannot be repaired. For armor repair costs, see equipment on page 25. Okay. The DR for attacks and defense are modified as with any test. How long is a round? Oh, bye. Bye, everybody. We Interlight headed out to work. Yep, no, you have to work in the morning. Catch you on the replay, and welcome to anyone who is watching on the replay as well. How long is a round? A round is enough to make 1 attack or use a power and traverse a normal-sized room. There are normally 10 rounds in 1 minute. Resting is catching your breath, having a drink, restore 1d4 HP. A full night's sleep restores d6 HP. Without food or drink, no HP is restored when resting, and after 2 days, a starving PC loses d4 HP per day. An infected character, this is the first time I've heard about that, but okay, it does seem like, yeah, we should, in a game like this, we should definitely have some infection as well. An infected character does not benefit from resting. Instead, d6 HP is lost daily. When meeting creatures whose reaction is uncertain, we just have a randomization of that. Oh, we do have morale. We've been talking about morale in some other streams and how we might handle that. Because do we always have to have like robbers or bandits fight to the death? Well, probably not. Most enemies will not fight to the last drop of blood. Makes sense. That's not how it goes in many RPG, Dungeons and Dragons games. The bandits will do that. Roll for morale. If the leader is killed, half the group is eliminated. A single enemy has only 1/3 of its HP left. If you roll greater than the creature's morale with 2d6, it is demoralized. Roll d6 to see if the enemy flees or surrenders. Wild art. Wild art. Getting better or worse. The game master decides when a character should be improved. It can be after completing a scenario, killing mighty foes, or bringing home treasure. I was actually wondering if we were going to have any type of experience. When I saw getting better, that kind of looked like bandages to me, and I thought this was going to be like healing and stuff. But this says getting better or worse. So I guess this is like your experience. So we probably have a very lightweight kind of free-form way to do this. Again, I was wondering if this was going to be in there, because I was thinking this seems like the ideal kind of one-shot crazy thing to play. So maybe we're not even going to worry about, upgrading characters or gaining experience. But we do have a little bit for that. So if you manage to survive everything that's going on here, more HP, roll 6d10. If the result is equal to or greater than your current maximum HP, increase it by d6. Well, that's interesting. I've never seen that kind of method before. Because in general, I'm not a big fan of inflationary hit points. I've talked about that in previous videos, generally speaking. So in this case, we can get more hit points, but it could completely fit the feel of this game. So you need to roll 6d10, and if the result is equal to or greater than your current maximum, you get some more. That means the more you get, the harder it is to get more. So that might get everybody. I'll have to think about that. That's interesting. So that you start low, and then you're going to go to some type of mid-level that's governed by a bell curve. That's really interesting. How does that work? Has anybody worked with that? Does that work well? What do you think about that system? I'd really like to know. Because a lot of people do like to get more hit points and kind of have an inflationary hit point system. That might be a way to keep it from just linearly getting out of control, like in D&D, but having some type of expectation for a mid-range. That's interesting. Left in the debris you find. Oh, so you like getting new treasure? Or just searching for something? Left in the debris you find. If there's something, I search around for whatever, maybe roll d6. 1d3 nothing, 4 3d10 silver, 5 an unclean scroll. We're gonna look, I'm gonna have to figure out what scrolls are here. So scrolls are definitely important. Ability change. Roll a d6 against every ability. Results equal to or greater than the ability, increase it by 1 to a maximum of 6 plus 6. Results below the ability, decrease it by 1. Well, that's interesting too. So that's why it says getting better or worse. So there are some things, I guess, because of whatever's going on in this game world, that could actually make you worse. So that's interesting. I don't think that's not something I've really seen. You see rules for aging. Like doesn't I think Mörk did. Does Call of Cthulhu have rules for characters who are aging? I think it might. That's GURPS does. So you can have ability degradation through aging, but although there are also benefits as well. But I don't know about this. But so something's going to happen to you, to your character. Let's see. Abilities from -3 to +1 are always increased by 1 unless the d6 result is 1. The ability is never reduced by 1. Is then reduced by 1, but never below -3. Okay. I guess that keeps you from getting beaten up too bad if you're at the really low end, because probably having really low stats here, it's not probably is going to hurt in a game like this. Powers. A few so-called powers are known, and they are usually found written in scrolls. Roll presence plus d4 every morning to determine how many times you can use powers that day. Choose from your available scrolls. When reading a scroll, test presence dr12. If you succeed, the power is activated and subtract 1 from your daily use total. If you fail, the power doesn't work, you lose d2 HP and you become dizzy for the next hour. During this time, powers will always fail in the worst possible way. The GM decides the effect on a crit or fumble, but on page 44 is an optional table of arcane catastrophes. Well, that's the most rules we've seen so far, right? This paragraph of using powers. But, it's probably always that way in games. I've got some thoughts about creating magic systems and why they are difficult to create and why they take up often so much space in rule books. And like I said, comparatively, this is a large amount of rules, even in this rule book. It's because we don't have these things in the real world. So we don't have any kind of intuitive understanding about them, like the magic systems. We do have intuitive understandings about how to use our bodies, dexterity, or agility. We have some intuitive understanding of strength and intelligence, and even something about health. But magic, hey, that could be anything. So it takes a lot of rules to explain. So unclean scrolls. I bet this is going to be grim and gritty. Palms open the southern gate. A ball of fire hits D2 creatures, dealing D8 damage per creature. Palms open the southern gate. Tongue of Eris. A creature of your choice is confused for 10 minutes. Telekinesis. Move an object to D10 times 10 feet for D6 minutes. Lucy fires levitation. Hover for presence 1d10 rounds. Demon of capillaries. One creature suffocates for d6 rounds, losing d4 HP per round. Foul Psychopomp. Summon d6. Roll a d6, 1 to 3, d4 skeletons, 4 to 6, d4 zombies. Death. All creatures within 30 feet lose a total of 4d10 hit points. I figured there was something like that. Is this another one? So so that was unclean scrolls. We have sacred scrolls too. Aegis of Sorrow. A creature of your choice gains 2d6 extra HP for 10 rounds. False Dawn, Knight's Chariot. Light or pitch black for 3d10 minutes. So this was one of the reasons why I think you randomly generated whether or not you have one of these scrolls during character creation. And if you did, you get like less armor and less money because you've got some of this kind of special power. Enochian Syntax. One creature blindly obeys a single command. Crazy Art. The Basilisk's Demand. D20. A child born with the third eye. There was something about the basilisk we read on the back of this book, right? Omen. Deal maximum damage with one attack, or reroll a dice roll. Optional tables. Trauma. Okay, optional trauma in this game. Trauma, a bad childhood, hidden history, or a twisted fate attending your birth already shaped you. Oh, okay, I get this. Trauma, a bad childhood, hidden history, or a twisted fate attending your birth already shaped you. So these are terrible traits that your character would have. Because, of course, in this game, your character would have terrible traits. Broken bodies. Corpulent, ravenous drooling. Rotting face wears a mask. Broken, crushed ears. Whoa. Nails cracked and black, maybe about to drop off. Well, I knew there was going to be some grim stuff in here. So this is like obsessively create small stones. So these are like, you stutter when you're lying, pyromaniac. Oh, see, okay. Bad habit. If this can be, you make jewelry from the teeth of the dead. If this can be considered a bad habit. Okay, so the layout here. So these are bad habits. Interesting. Troubling tales. What do we get into after that? We got optional rules. There are in here. Let's see. We still have a few minutes here. I typically stream for about an hour, and then we try to improve our life. So you want to stay for that. So we still have some time. We got creatures in here, so we'll just see what else is here. What is in this world? Goblins, scum. So like, okay, so this is their character block. Wanted for serious crime or dead, wanted serious crime. So they've got hit points, they've got morale, because that was supposed to determine whether or not they run away or whether they surrender or something when something bad goes wrong in the fight. So hit points, morale, no armor, poisoned knife, and some type of special. Poisoned knife. Test toughness D10 or DR10 or become infected. So there was the way that we become infected. There were a few friends more fell than poverty or monsters more powerful than hate. In this stricken world, the slums and black alleyways are fecund scum. mothering countless abhorred miscreants. The PC with the highest presence makes DR14 test at the start of battle. Failure means a random party member is automatically hit by a cowardly backstab, normally damage +3. Zukuma, Berserker. As if from nowhere, a frenzied ambush in the dusty hallways and from behind the stacked black stones of catacombs. A rat, a wraith, blood-drenched skeleton. Undead necromancer, troll, zombie. Of course. How can you play this game without zombie? Oh, we got a very different, like a medieval style right here. So these guys are fighting whatever this is right here. This is the, oh, it's the side of the troll. Okay, so that makes sense. If you had these pages laid out. Lady Porcelain, undead doll. Creepy, creepy. The grotesque. What else is in here? These are the outcasts. So we've got creatures and then outcasts to help stock your dungeon with. Or stock the whole game with. Random encounters. Even more reasons to risk one's life. So more tables. Lots of tables to roll on. So in the barren fields of Krugus. In the center. Oh, so wait. So we generate this. Oh, why don't I have dice sitting around here? I should. Hold on. I can get some. I think some of the Doom Edition Elder Dice, the brand of Cthulhu Elder Dice, sort of seem appropriate to roll. And I also have the Yogg-Sothoth is the Gate dice tray that was made out of the Yogg-Sothoth is the Gate playmat. And these are some of the dice trays I made up in the workshop. So let's see. I need a reason to risk my life. Where do I wander? That's D12. Oh, okay. Well, I rolled a 1. We already read that one. 12. In a forgotten part of Graven Tosk, I am contacted by a noble child said to see dark visions, and the adventure spark for D100 would be 95. Light from a broken sewer gate. What are you thinking about this? I want to know your opinion. Do we have anybody who has come in and who has played? I put out to the Discord server that I was going to be doing this. Sometimes it's nice to have people who have played and can kind of guide you when you're doing a read-through. Imminent danger, sample rooms, and that's it. Well, I think that's a pretty reasonable kind of read-through here. So what do I think about this? I can tell why my friends got excited about this. Oh, in fact, his book is sitting over here. We'll go through the book in another time, but I will show you what he... Because I haven't even looked at those. I wanted to look at Mork Borg first, but his books are sitting right over here. So he wrote these right here. And see, this one is still in its shrink wrap. Vast Grim, right here. And so this was put out, this is put out by, credit him as author? Brian Cullen, but of course it's published by jointly by Creature Curation, which is Brian's company, and then Infinite Black, which is David. And they work together on this. So that's still in the shrink wrap, but it's some type of game that's compatible with Mork Borg. Yeah, I see that compatible with Mork Borg here. And then he also sent me this one, Crawling Death Below the Dying Forest. Well, he sent it to me because I backed the Kickstarter. Well, Arun likes it. This game sounds amazing. It sounds like one that, if you want something dark and twisted and fun and maybe amazing, I mean, I would try it. I would definitely try it. It definitely is like one of these one-shots. I've been interested in games that can be played in 1.5 to 2.5 hours. And I've been trying to think if maybe there's some way that we can do a new kind of streaming tabletop game show And it seems like we would want to do this. This would be one that we could want to try, or should want to try. So, he tried to replicate. We'll take a look at the Vast Grim in another stream. But see, he went with the chaotic art style as well. I see more text in here. I think this is actually an adventure right here. And that the actual Vast Grim core rulebook will be here. But I'm not going to unshrink wrap it right now. But he's an artist, so he does all kinds of cool stuff. So I can tell why he was excited about this, and why he and David wanted to do this. Because David said that, the chaotic kind of style of this is interesting. This is all Brian stuff right here. And so he went along with this. And he was like, because David was saying, well, we're trying to do Mork Borg because it's got a very chaotic style. It doesn't take, a ton of time. It takes a while to lay out a book, but it doesn't take just months and months and months and even years to do something like we were trying to do with the Journey 3 of Sorrows RPG. We can put this out, and that is what excites me about it. Because, when I'm thinking about the campaign guides, the campaign world books that I want to write, those, there's, first of all, a lot to write. And that's why I'm like, oh my God, there's so much stuff, so much writing that is ahead of me. But there's also a lot of layout. There's also a lot of art stuff. A kind of rules light, art heavy in this particular, not trying to be realistic style and things like that. That does excite me because it gets them produced and it gets out there. So that means that, Vast Grim, this is their game world. Brian was able to, get this out in not a whole lot of time. I mean, comparatively, especially when you're talking about not being able to get things out either. So Vast Grim, he says, each miserable day that passes, the universe inches closer to its inevitable demise. So I think this is in its own game world, but it's the same kind of obviously type of feel, I think. And then Vast Grim is a rules light RPG where everyone must band together in order to keep humanity alive, compatible with Mork Borg. So maybe that's something I should be thinking about, whether that's Mork Borg or not. I don't think the exact feel of this is the feel of either one of those. But it does excite the worlds I'm trying to create. But it does kind of excite me to think about what are more rules light and less heavily art intensive ways to try to produce an RPG are there, and get playing in the world. Because, if it takes years to write all of the setting material, get something that you can't play. So you got to get something out there first and start playing, and then start developing from there. So maybe that's a good way to go. All right. I missed. Inner Light does say you roll to reduce damage based on the armor's tier. Yeah, okay. I think that's the way that it goes, because it looked like each one of those armor tiers did have a die associated with it. And we subtract damage. So, all right. Well, I think that is what we need to say about Mork Borg. I'm glad I looked at it. This is one of those things. I'm glad I'm doing these streams because I've been meaning to look at so many of these different systems and books and things like that, and I just haven't gotten to. And so this is just jumping in and taking a look at these things and kind of studying and what they get. I hope that helps you as well if you were trying to get exposed to different things, because I've got, like I said, these books have been sitting around on my desk and shelf for a while, and they just don't get looked at. But Morning Grind is a great opportunity to do things like this. The next step and the final part of the Morning Grind is that we need to think about the rest of our day, because one of the things that I'm doing here is we're trying to experiment with this kind of format, is that here at the Morning Grind, we talk about geek-related activities in constructive and positive ways. And then we also, at the end of the day, at the end of that stream, try to think about how we can have a fantastic day. Planning that, working with a planning system, if you have one, or we can use the one that we're going to talk about here. So this is a marker in the morning. This can be your time. It could be your time for cleaning. It could be your time for doing some other type of creative task, like drawing or map making or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Sculpting, painting some miniatures. I said there are probably lots of unpainted miniatures around. This would be a good time to do that. So this is our anchor in the morning. And then our anchor in the afternoon, I've been trying to do some active, deliberate recreation, to go out and do some hiking myself. But active recreation is important. And then coming here at the end of the day, I've been experimenting with a live stream at the end of the day, which I've been calling the evening grind, but people have said I should use like wind down or something like the wind down. We'll see. It's still experimental, to check in again at the end of the day and see if we were actually able to do the things that we said would give us a great day. Because if we got organized like that, if you get everything situated, we can all rule the world. So let's go over to the end section here and go to what I'm calling life by the numbers.
I manage my department, and I've been doing that for several years now.
Your department's just you, right?
Yes, Jim, but I am not easy to manage.
So, all right. If you are here, take a few minutes. Well, first of all, we should take a couple of minutes while I bring up the auxiliary camera, or a couple of seconds rather, to take a sip of your favorite drink again. And then also breathe. And if you do a good inhale and an exhale, you will actually feel it. It will improve your life and helps out this stream as well. So definitely, hey, if you're just sitting alone, especially, why not? Breathe. All right. So one of the things that I've been working on kind of as a theory here. So if you have your own kind of technique for getting your day organized and making stuff happen in your day, use that. But if you don't, here's what I've been recommending. I'm going to take an index card. Let me get an index card here. But you can use a piece of paper, tear it in half, or just fold it, or whatever. We use a small sheet of paper here. Having something small here is important because we're going to be able to take it with us. Inner Light has given us an acronym for a most important part of our day. And she says that this is the CCT. It's the core creative time. All right, the CCT. The core creative time is whatever you really want to be able to accomplish creatively. It could be creatively. It could be professionally creatively if you're trying to write a book, or you're trying to illustrate a comic book, or you're trying to do some sculpture or whatever that you want to have published later on. I know there are a lot of creative people here trying to create their own companies to publish their own material. Well, in order to do that, you have to actually create your material. So core creative time is an important part of that. But it doesn't have to be something like that. It could be stuff that you're making on things that you are not going to publish. That's no problem at all. Maybe it is painting your miniatures. I feel really good if I spent some time painting some miniatures today, or prepping for your Dungeons and Dragons game at the end of the week that you're going to be playing with your friends. Or it could even be going to yoga. You know, maybe your time's like, I would feel really good if I went to yoga today. So that's our core creative time. And then I've been putting blocks that represent 25 minutes in core creative time. So I draw that out. So however much you want to have. Now, here's a really important part of this, is don't say how much time you would like for core creative time if God gives you the perfect day today that falls out of heaven in your lap. You know what you've got to do today. You know what you're going to do for the next 12 hours. So if you've got to go to work for 8 hours, okay, well then don't say that you're going to do 10 hours of core creative time, right? So you're actually trying to say what is something realistic that you can do by the end of the day that will give you a positive outcome. If you end up being able to do more, great. If you're reaching your goals, then you can stretch out tomorrow. But it's going to be very demotivating if you look at this at the end of every day and you can't do it. If you can't do it, there's time to scale back your goals until you get the successes and then build from there. So I use 25-minute blocks because that's part of the Pomodoro technique. If you're having trouble with productivity, look into the Pomodoro technique about working for 25 minutes and then standing up and taking a break for 5 minutes. Works really well. So I think that our time kind of should fall into core creative time. There will also be work. You may have to go to work. You may have to go to work today. You may be working for yourself. And so this is work time. How much time do I actually have to spend in work? And let me tell you, if you are a creative person and you are working on your own company and you are trying to do something yourself, these two things are very different. They're very different. Your core creative time, like if you're trying to self-publish your own books, well, the time you're writing your books is your core creative time. And then everything else that surrounds your business. to get all of those books to publication once they are written, and then market them and deal with taxes, and deal with all those other administrative things. That's your work time. That's your business time. This is very zen. Well, I'm glad. I'm trying. That's what I'm going for. A few minutes, if we spend them correctly here, I'm thinking no more than about 10 minutes here at the end of these morning live streams. If we do this, we could focus the entire rest of our day. It'd be worth it if you spend these 10 minutes planning out the rest of your day, and then you accomplish what you want to accomplish. We will definitely be zen, and we will come back and be zen at the end of the day too. Wow. All right. I hope this works. This has to do with going back to the rules. Rhino says, yes, Call of Cthulhu has rules for aging, bonuses to skills, and penalties for stats. I thought I remembered that. Thank you. So this is work. And then there is another one, which is Inner Light has given the acronym DR. Oh, here's another. Is this damage resistance again? No, it's not damage resistance, but you'd be forgiven for thinking about that. Or difficulty rating, because we are tabletop geeks here. But this is deliberate recreation. Deliberate recreation. And I think this is a very important part of the day too, because the zone that we are trying to stay out of, is that we need a name for this. We need a good name for this zone that we want, that is our enemy. We either need to be doing our core stuff or working, or deliberately recreating, right? Because the worst, and this happens to me all the time, and I'm trying to stop. This is for me too. This is what I'm trying to work on here, is that when you've got a bunch of stuff that you've got to do, whether that's work or whether it's core creative stuff, but you're stuck for some reason, and then so you're stuck and you can't really push through, and you don't really want to work or whatever. And you've got these other list of things over here that you want to do as far as recreation. That could be like watching a movie. Like I've got certain movies I want to watch. I've got certain TV shows I want to watch. It could be going outside and going for a hike or doing something like that too. Things you want to do. But you're in that morass. Maybe we call it the morass. Is there some type of morass, descriptive term to go with morass? So we could have, we're not in our zone as far as creativity or work goes. We're not in our zone as far as recreation goes. But instead, we know we should be working, but instead we scroll through Twitter or read Reddit or things like that. And so, yeah, you're kind of calm. You're not having a real, intense work day, but you should be working. And then at the end of the day, if that time goes by, you feel terrible. And you feel terrible because, one, you didn't actually get your work done or your creative time done. And you also didn't deliberately go and do what was fun or would actually give you a great break. I hate that time. The morass, we got to get out of the morass. So I like these categories. There are other things you're going to have to do during the day, right? You can't fill up your entire day with these blocks, because you also have to take a shower. You got to have lunch. You got to have dinner. You got to do all those things too. But if you have deliberate recreation, then you're going to feel better about your day. So whatever you want to do, go and deliberately recreate. And that's what I'm trying to do around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that I'm calling the afternoon adventure. And I'm putting stuff out on Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter about that, if you need that other key in your day, right? In fact, I like deliberate active recreation. Deliberate active recreation, because I sit so much at the computer, and you might too. I love computers because there is so much that I can do because I have one. But the more powerful computers get, the better our software gets, the more and more things that go on at the computer and my sitting right here at this desk. So I need to get up. I need to get out. That's why I started hiking. You could start with a walk. It could be yoga for you. It could be stretching. It could be doing P90X, whatever that is. If it's active, then it could be your deliberate active recreation. I've been working on that because you know what? I had some success. A couple of days ago, I weighed in and was at 192.1 pounds, which is heavy for me. I weighed in this morning and was pleased to see that I weighed in at 186.6 pounds. So maybe being conscious about what I've eaten and going for the hikes has worked. And that's directionally the way I want to go. So it can be that for you as well. So I encourage you to take a look at these different categories: core creative time, your work time, and your deliberate recreation time, and see if you can spend the amount of time that you would like to spend before this evening, right? And actually, there's one other thing I might recommend, because I've got a problem with a to-do list. I got a huge problem with to-do lists. It's because I use OmniFocus, and I love OmniFocus on my computer to keep track of tasks. But I got about 300 tasks to do in OmniFocus. It's too much. So when I look at it, it's just overwhelming. So my plan or my recommendation is to say, if you're using an index card, just fold it and say 1, 2, 3. And I bet you know the 3 things that you need to accomplish today. You would feel really good if you did those things by the end of the day. So for me, they're most of the time work-related things. The work category, I'm like, what do I really need to accomplish as far as work goes? Write those things down, and then that's your list. Take that with you. Don't add more than 3. If you get past 3, you can add another one. But if you check off 3 and you look at the end of the day and those things are done, you're going to feel really good. So, like I said, we can all take over the world if we get organized. And this is your community for holding yourself accountable. I'm trying to hold myself accountable because I need this badly. This is why I'm doing this. You guys are helping hold me accountable as well. All kinds of things we're trying to accomplish here. So that's why I'm starting with the still highly experimental evening live stream for the evening grind. It's very chill. It's very mellow. I'm calling it the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. You can come in. It'll last for like 20 or 30 minutes only. It'll be a great place to wind down at the end of the day. And then we're also going to be able to check. We're going to check what's on our cards or whatever is in your system. And did we accomplish those things? And if we did, we're going to celebrate. All right. We're going to call out our successes and say, yes, I had a great day today. I did everything I was supposed to do. And if you didn't, we're not going to be overly critical. We're going to say, how can we do better tomorrow? How can our day actually be better tomorrow and accomplish what we need to accomplish? So that's what I'm doing. So I hope this has been useful to you. It's been a lot of fun. I loved hanging out with you. I've got things I got to go do. Right? So I will see you maybe on Instagram or Twitter about 3 o'clock this afternoon. But I will see you back here at, I believe, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's when we will do the wind down or the evening grind or whatever else we're going to call it. So go be productive. Have a wonderful day and drink water.